Allar, do you like fairy stories?
I do like fairy stories, so if they have a happy ending.
Oh, I'm sure this one will have a happy ending. It's all about investment. Investment is always good, isn't it? I know that my 5-year-old daughter is very into fairy stories. She makes them up all the time, and she's particularly fond of unicorns. She has a few fluffy ones. You have a 5-year-old. Unicorns?
Not so much, but what other characters are out there? What other characters are there to choose from?
Does she like dragons?
Dragons, yes, definitely.
Gazelles? Is she into animals?
As long as the dragon eats the gazelle.
Okay, that's an interesting 5-year-old that you've got there. We've got someone who knows all about these things who's here today to tell us about them. That's Helmut Krämer-Eis. He's the European Investment Fund's head of research and market analysis and is chief economist. He has a PhD from Friedrich Schiller University in Jena. He's written and co-authored numerous research articles on economic topics, and he knows about unicorns, dragons, gazelles, and something else that you haven't told me about, Allar, which you promise is kind of disgusting, but we'll get to it. So that's a little teaser. So this is very important educational stuff here on a dictionary of finance, because you might think a dictionary of finance is all about terms like intermediated loan or risk capital, but it's also about some very imaginative things: unicorns, dragons, and gazelles. Helmut Krämer-Eis, what are unicorns?
Unicorns are companies
in a business context.
In a business context.
I know what my 5-year-old daughter thinks they are.
No fairy
what
tales.
What is a unicorn? Yet?
No fairy tales for your daughter. Okay, yeah, but we are dealing with fairy tales sometimes as well. So a unicorn is a privately held company with a valuation of more or equal than $1 billion. So these are valuations that change over time. It doesn't mean that these valuations can be realized at the end of the day when there is, for example, an initial public offering of these companies, so when this company issues shares on the market. But it's an interim picture and a temporary picture.
Are they called unicorns because they don't really exist? Or are there some that we could think of that...
They, in fact, do exist. So worldwide, we have currently around 170 unicorns. In Europe, we have a bit more than 20, around 21 unicorns. And, by the way, 10 of them have been supported by the EIF.
Oh, well, my daughter will be very delighted to know that unicorns do exist. What about dragons? See, I'm from Wales. That's our national symbol. So do dragons exist as well?
Dragons do exist as well in venture capital terminology. If you consider a venture capital fund, so that is a fund that invests equity into companies. They invest into a variety of companies, let's say 20, 30, 40 companies, and the fund has an initial fund size of, let's say, as an example, the average fund size in Europe is currently around 100 million euros. And then one company out of this fund has an IPO, as I mentioned, initial public offering, issues shares, goes to the market, and the valuation of this company is higher than the overall fund size initially. So the one company returns more than the whole fund size. This is called a dragon. Sometimes it's called a home run as well.
Okay, I like dragon better. It's more imaginative.
There's also cockroach.
There's a cockroach?
There's a cockroach company.
Is that a good thing?
It's supposedly a company that can survive whatever economic conditions you have. It's never going to be a unicorn probably, but it's just going to, it's
resilient.
It's very resilient, yes.
Unless someone steps on it. Then there's a gazelle. What's a gazelle?
Gazelle, there is no uniform definition. It's typically a high-growth company. So it's often called high-growth company. It's sometimes called gazelle. Nowadays, more often called scale-up company.
Fantastic. So if you out there listening know of any other cool little bits of jargon from the SME world, but I think it's going to be hard to beat a cockroach, isn't it? But if there are any, then please let us know. We'll have Helmut research it and figure out if it's really one. So please send those in.